The end of an era where honor meant more than life itself. Imagine knowing that everything you stand for, your traditions, your code, your identity, is about to disappear. Still, you wrap your hands around your sword and fight. This is the story of the last battle of the samurai. Today we're stepping into one of the most powerful and emotional moments in Japanese history, the final fight of the samurai. It's a story about courage, loyalty, and tragedy when the old world met the modern age in a storm of gunfire and steel. This is the story of the Satsuma Rebellion and the last stand of the samurai at the Battle of Shiroyama. For nearly 700 years, samurai were the backbone of Japan. They weren't just warriors, they were a way of life. They lived by Bushido, the way of the warrior, a code built on loyalty, discipline, and honor. But by the mid-1800s, Japan was changing. After centuries of isolation, foreign ships arrived. Steam, rifles, and Western ideas began to pour in, and with them came something unstoppable: modernization. In 1868, the Meiji Restoration began. The emperor returned to power, and the government decided Japan had to catch up with the West. Fast. Feudal lords were stripped of their power, the old domains were abolished, and the samurai class, the heart of Japan's identity, was suddenly unnecessary. Carrying a sword in public became illegal. Imagine that. A man trained since childhood to serve his lord, now told he's just ordinary. To many samurai, it felt like betrayal. The new Japan had no place for them. And one man, Saigō Takamori, refused to accept it. Saigō was no ordinary samurai. He had helped bring about the Meiji Restoration itself. He believed in reform. But when the new government turned its back on the very class that built the nation, he couldn't stand by. He believed Japan was losing its soul. So, in 1877, from his home in Satsuma, Saigō gathered a force of thousands of disillusioned former samurai. They wore their armor with pride, carried their swords even when it was outlawed, and marched under Saigō's banner. Their goal? To remind Japan what honor truly meant. At first, their discipline and bravery gave them victories. But the imperial army, trained with Western tactics and armed with rifles and cannons, had the numbers, the technology, and the resources. As the months passed, Saigō's army was pushed south, back to his home, Kagoshima. By September 1877, it was over. Saigō and his last 500 samurai took their position at Shiroyama Hill, overlooking the city. Below them, 30,000 imperial soldiers surrounded them, cutting off all escape routes. No supplies, no ammunition, no hope. But surrender? Never. These were samurai, and a samurai dies with honor. That night, they wrote their final poems. They prepared their armor, they sharpened their swords one last time. When dawn broke, the sky filled with cannon fire. Imperial artillery rained down on the hill, tearing it apart. Still, the samurai waited for their moment. Then, silence. And suddenly, a roar. The last warriors of Japan charged down the hill, swords drawn, into the hail of bullets. 500 against 30,000. They knew they would die, but they ran forward anyway. One by one, they fell. And in the chaos, Saigō himself was wounded. According to legend, he refused to be captured. With the help of a loyal follower, he performed seppuku, ending his life as a true samurai. By morning, the hill was silent. The rebellion was crushed, the age of the samurai gone forever. But even though the samurai disappeared from Japan's armies, their spirit never vanished. Saigō Takamori became a national hero, not for rebelling but for staying true to his values. Years later, Emperor Meiji himself pardoned him, honoring his loyalty and courage. Today his statue stands in Ueno Park, Tokyo, sword at his side, gazing toward the horizon. And Bushido, the way of the warrior, still lives on. You can find it in Japanese martial arts, in business ethics, and in the stories that inspire people around the world. It reminds us that technology and progress can change everything, except the human heart. The Battle of Shiroyama wasn't just the end of an army, it was the end of an age. A moment where men chose to die for what they believed in. Not for power, not for wealth, but for honor. If this story moved you, make sure to like the video and leave a comment. Do you think the samurai were right to fight for their way of life? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that bring history's most powerful moments back to life. Until next time, remember, honor may fall in battle, but it never truly dies.